Hello everybody, today we are going to be going over why the Dragon's Roar is a very underrated gun in this game. Now if you'd watched my previous video on Affliction and why it is rather OP in this game, now this is because of how the effect will work with the damage dealt to... Do you mind? Right, give me a second. You're gonna be our targets, right? So, if we were to be hitting an enemy with this Dragon's Roar and causing the affliction ticks, what we're gonna see is something very cool compared to something which only applies normal snare. Now, without any further ado, I hope you're going to enjoy this video, and yeah. Hopefully you might see why the Dragon's Roar is a very underrated gun and why you might consider using it. Now the damage doesn't really compare to a lot of the guns which are more meta these days, however it can fire through multiple targets, so it's definitely a good thing to pick up if you've definitely got the snare perk. Right, I have found some more contestants. We're just going to bring these guys over. Come on, Mr. Husky. Come here. Come on, Mr. Husky. That's it. Right, so now what we're going to test... is the human or the firecracker snare versus the Dragon's Roar. What we're going to do is we're going to test it on this platform and see how far he goes, as well as try and look at the time that he actually remains snared. If I just get some more words and I can tear it up, it might make it easier to see what's going on. Oh, don't die to the broadsides. Bad broadside. So if we just tear this up so this is like easier to see near the end. So this will be like a platform which is like markers of the distance travelled. So what we're going to do is we're going to snare him at this line between the wood and the brick, and then we're just going to watch and see how far he can travel. So he's just been snared around there, and we're just going to see whereabouts he can travel to before he no longer is snared. So we see just about here he's no longer snared. We're going to go again with the Dragon's Rifle this time. So we'll try and get about the same spot. So we let him come, and we're just going to let him travel over, see how far he gets. See, he's still slow, and he speeds up just then. So what we're going to do is we're just going to extend the platform just a little bit. And we're just going to look to see when he actually speeds up. Maybe not when the indicator actually goes. So what you'll see is you'll have a little indicator on him. I think what I might do is I'll use this pistol so I don't do as much damage to him. We don't want to kill him. And we're just going to try and hit him just there. And we'll just see how far he's going to remain snared for. So you see just there on the wood, about here, he stops. So if we can... Oh, we haven't got that marked, so I need to put the markers on. Now we're just going to do the same with the Dragon's Roar. Again, we're going to wait till he gets to the gap. Then we're just going to snare him. And we're just going to see how far he gets this time. So he's still snared, still snared, still snared, and now he speeds up. So it's round about this location that he picks up. Wow, I didn't mean to do that. Now if I just put my settings on, this might help. Oh, I only put one indicator for the other one, the human. Right, we're gonna have to do a Dragon's Roar one again. So it's just a little bit past it. We're just gonna see how far he goes. It still says, and he speeds up round about here. Right, because that wasn't a good enough test, we're just gonna go back here again, test it on this line. Come back here, mister. Right, so here again with the firecracker pistol. So on the line, he gets snared. We're just going to see how far he goes, and then we're going to mark it. So there we go again at base is where the pistol. So that's just normal snare. Now if we wait for the dragon's roar again. Come here, Mr. Husky. Right. we're gonna wait for the line again. And poof. There we go, snared on the line, and we're just gonna see when he starts to speed up. Come on. So you see he's still snared, and round about this location he stops being snared, so on the loot line. Now what is actually going on is with the dragon's roar, actually has the affliction, which, as in a previous video of mine, with the innate affliction going on for 3 ticks, that actually then also re-triggers the snare perk, or in this case it's just the 6th perk of the weapon. So this means that if, like what we see here, I shoot him, he's getting ticked for the affliction, but now is when the snare applies, just for that last tick of whatever you just saw, and then it's going to count the 6 seconds of the snare. Whereas if I was just using a pistol like this, which is just normal snare, so there's no affliction to this, we'll see that when he gets hit by the snare, there's no extra affliction acting on him, so he'll just suddenly speed up here. This just means this distance is the distance of which he's being acted upon by both the snare and the affliction bonus from the dragon's roar. So this should be, this from base to loot is roughly how far he should be travelling at being afflicted. So if we shoot him there, we'll see he'll just be around about here, he'll stop being afflicted. We'll do it again, so bring him back by loot, shoot him at loot, so, oh, and he dies, okay. But this should be about the distance that he's travelling, so just around about 1 tile, I guess. And yeah, I suppose, so this is just trying to basically just get the principle across that the dragon's roar is really, really good if you've got the damage with this weapon snares a target by 30% for 6 seconds. And from what we just showed with the experiments, if you can shoot them with the dragon's roar, they then remain snared for a lot longer time. Now this is because the affliction is then doing them the affliction ticks, but as seen in my previous video with affliction is actually quite OP in this game, the last dot of affliction will reapply the damage dealt with this weapon snares a target by 30% for 6 seconds. So what's going on is the affliction ticks happen, the last tick goes off, and then that's when the final counter of the damage dealt for 6 seconds is going to be taking act after that final tick. So I hope you've liked this little video of how the dragon's roar is actually quite OP, and maybe might actually try using it. So this also, don't forget that the dragon's roar can also shoot through multiple targets at one time. Therefore, if you're using it in a long trap tunnel, is able to snare a lot more targets for a longer duration, rather than just hitting them with a weapon which just has normal snare. So if you fancy trying this in your trap tunnels, using it down longer range, well, as long as you ain't got the propane blowing them up, then yeah, I hope you like this, find this very useful, and maybe consider using this weapon if you actually have it in your inventory, and consider tearing it up. Anyway, I'll see you guys around. Have a lovely day.